Why hello, I'm Sicx and welcome to Sicx Tarot. Now, as it's the month of love, being Valentine's Day, I thought maybe I'd splash out and maybe get you a little something. I was thinking of maybe a nice romantic candle, Kilimanjaro stars. As you can tell, it's got stars in it, and there's a star tarot card, so there's the connection there, and it smells delightful. It's slightly burnt, but but that's because my passion for you burns so bright and constant that it's constantly burning. I may need to see a doctor. But in this video we shall do a review for the Romantic Tarot. Enjoy. Right, so first off we'll start by talking about the box itself, because the first bite is with the eye. So on the front here you have the lovers, because of course you would, and on the back you have the Empress. Now the artwork on the front is quite nice, with the nice romantic style of writing there with roses, and it's quite soft in its colour, so it's nothing too bold. It feels more like like a romantic novel sort of design, if you were going to write a novel about romance. And this is also brought to us by our friends La Scarabina. I never know if I pronounced that correctly, but someone in the comments can correct me if they want to. And being the Scarabina, they have the cardstock itself is their standard, so not too thick, not too thin, so it's actually quite easy it's quite nice to shuffle, and it spreads really smoothly. Not so smoothly here, but it's a small table. You can also see the artwork on the back is really nice. It's beautiful, really, and once again just shows off the skill of the artist, obviously, and just how lovely this whole thing is. So you kind of know what you're getting into with this deck. Now, because of my dyslexia and some of the artwork written and done by non-English people, I assume Italian, I'm not going to try and butcher any of their names. So all I'm going to do is say this is the back, and so who's written it, who drew them, etc. So I'm not going to even attempt some of these names. So, but that's the artist and stuff. I believe on the back that's the 7 or 8, oh, even 9 of cups. So yeah, so that's just kind of the outward look. And next we'll just skip to like selected cards rather than the whole pack. That will probably be a separate video. Right, now this is something new I'm adding to the reviews. So instead of just going through the entire deck, I'll be picking out key cards and discussing those. So what I'm doing for this part, it's 5 cards from the majors that are either some of my personal favourites or favourites of other people. So we're doing like 5 of those, and I'll still be doing my top 5 of the deck. So with this one of my favourite cards has always been the Fool. So the Fool pertaining to this deck works really well, in the fact that it looks more like a hopeless romantic rather than just anyone dashing or debonair. So I love the concept of flowers on his head, but he's still got his top hat, as a gentleman would hold it anyway, and merely the fact that he's just on a table kind of floating in the midst of nowhere. So I'm just up here, so he's kind of floating in the midst of nowhere, still still looks like he's about to do a leap of faith, because he's just kind of in space essentially. But that looks quite, you can see that being a romantic sort of scenario. And so next I'll talk about the Hanged Man. Now, in the romantic sense, it's quite interesting because it's got some of those love locks. Some of the padlocks are indeed hearts, and pertaining to this, I'd probably say that he's doing it to show his resolve for the person of whom he wants to woo. There's a term no one uses anymore, but I've always liked these are one of my favourite cards. So from the mages, but it has that kind of feel to it of he's doing this for someone rather than for himself. But it's quite a nice design and quite well done, and also considering the time period this whole deck is based around. Now we move on to cards that a lot of people aren't fans of. So introducing the Death card. So in terms of how this card fits in with the rest, obviously as it has merely a person at a grave in mourning, unfortunately this is a sort of card you can't necessarily make romantic unless it becomes very bizarre. But it in itself is not like the death of the person in the card, because as we all know, the Death card doesn't mean someone's going to die. But it does kind of show an attempt to move on and progress. So that's always an interesting way to do it. Obviously, it's the Death card and people always worry. So when I talk about tarot cards and show people, oh, here's a new pack, this is one of the two cards they look for. One of the two cards they always hunt for is the Death card. But as you can see, this is relatively tame, and the kind of dress style she's wearing does kind of fit with the theme. The other tarot card that everyone always looks out for is the Devil. Now, I think the Devil looks really cool in this one, because in this one the Devil isn't really being depicted as like addiction or the menaces of evil, but it's more showing the temptation. You know it's bad for you, but you want it anyway, and kind of being done as like a cabaret act, I think is really cool. As I said, it's the art design, considering of the theme, is really good, and it's very, you know what the message is with this. It's not about anything. It's nothing to be afraid of. It's not a scary image, but it's a tempting image. It's supposed to either pull you. It's an image to pull you off track and to kind of take your focus away from the straight and narrow. So the depiction of that, I think, is amazing, and also just the fact that it's kind of got like a pseudo tail there and the pseudo horn, that does look pretty cool. And the random card for the top 5 is the High Priestess. Now, I would have imagined the High Priestess would have been more of a nun archetype in this, but this does look like a very well-to-do lady, and I'd say lady. She looks like she'd be married to a lord, and it's got the traditional blue clothing there, which traditionally the High Priestess wears. Her face is veiled, which I think looks pretty cool, just there. So she's not a woman in mourning, but she is a woman of modesty. She's a woman of depth. She's not a woman who exists in the external. She's a woman who exists in the internal. Kind of focuses on what's on the inside, and she's obviously got her book, and the moon there as well as a kind of bookmark. So I've had to focus. So she's kind of a very good representation of the classic and staying in theme with the rest of the deck. So this is really nice. And now I'll be doing my top 5. So first favourite card of this deck is the Chariot. Now I really like this one because it's once again all within the theme, and it is kind of about control and direction, and you can either kind of let someone else take control or take control of someone else. Now obviously I don't necessarily mean in the 50 Shades style, even if that is your speed or not. It is more of a, either allowing yourself to go with whatever needs to be done, or making sure that you are aware of what someone else needs to do and kind of take the reins for them. And it's just such a sweet little image as well. Just the lady up on there, and I love the fact 2 balls as well. Steers. I don't know my bovine. Yeah, that's a very nice kind of heartwarming sort of card look. Now, speaking of heartwarming, 10 of Cups, very romantic image there. I just really like it. The lady in the mask there, and the gentleman wooing her, and the second time I said wooing, and with all the cats. It's just a really nice, lovely image. He might not necessarily be get the woman, but it's still, whatever he's doing, it must be very pleasant for all the cats to want to hang around. Either that, or he probably smells of food. And so then we go to the 2 of Cups. 2 of Cups, 2 of Coins. And I just love this. It's so sweet and adorable. 2 kids, and I mean, the fact it's just like, if they, okay, more 4 kids, am I right? With the kids? Anyway, it's just such a sweet little image of just kids being kids, and it's just adorable. And romance can start at a young age, and I remember back in the day when I was young. That's about as far as that story goes, really. But now going to the bit more severe ones, but it's still poignant. With the 3 of Swords. So actually with this one, it's rather than a heart being stabbed, it's more presumably 2 men fighting for the affection for this woman, and it's a duel. And it's obvious who's won, and it's so obviously you could be, when you're reading this card, you could either be the one who is slain and you are in heartache, for example, or you could be the one who's witnessed the event and don't quite know how to deal with it, or you're the cause of someone's heartbreak or depression. And so it's an interesting layer there, because it can cover all 3 essentially. So that's an interesting card, just because it can show all 3 directions when depression or unhappiness is involved, because you can either be the one who is depressed, be the cause of the depression, or having to witness someone you care about going through it. So it's, but then the 3 of Swords has always been a very downer card. And speaking of downer cards, 5 of Swords. Now this is very untraditional compared to the standard. So you've got this gentleman here who's obviously love lost, and yeah, it's a sad image. It's quite a strong image to me, actually, because you can see that he's not happy. He's very, as I said, it looks like love lost or unrequited. It feels more like unrequited, and it's still kind of, it's a strong image to me. Stuff like that always stands out to me. But yeah, so I hope you like the kind of structure of this video. Let me know what you think in the comments. So I'll put it there so it doesn't keep blowing. Let me know what you think in the comments, and let me know what you think about the format, likes and dislikes. And now to the outro. Well, I hope that was as good for you as it was for me. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Sicx Tarot. And you can also check out some of my other videos on this same channel. I have many. Now, I'm off to do my next video, where we should be talking about the Lover's card. And you have a good Valentine's Day. Toodaloo.